And as is customary, give it a minute or two for people to roll in. What? Just got a notification in OBS. Subscribe to earn drops. Get rewards by purchasing or gifting subscriptions to SirDerpyHorse's channel while they're live in any category. Ends October 16th. Am I even actually allowed to get subscriptions? I thought you had to go through a process first.
You have to be I think a affiliate first. I am because I've streamed a bit, but I don't know if you are.
I'm not. So why is it giving that
So you probably.
notification on my Twitch channel?
So have you considered llamas are basically lobsters on land? Huh? Because they both start with L.
I also need to pull up the list of questions.
Oh yeah, questions.
Only 2 streams? I definitely remember people asking the last 2 streams why @everyone is used.
I'm
There
pretty
will
sure that's
probably
asked
be
every
more, but
stream,
yeah.
like every time.
Oh, we actually have a decent number this time.
Do we? Let's see.
At least in relative to when we start, because usually the past
Oh
few
yeah.
times I feel like it's been like 1, maybe 2 questions, but then as soon as we start the stream, people start submitting like crazy. But now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like. Actually, this one was probably like just now submitted, but
Yeah.
so 8 before the stream started. All right, well, it looks like we have a good number of people here. And we actually have some people in Twitch too. Although, if you are
We
watching
do.
on Twitch, I will probably more likely be watching the Discord chat.
I have one of both
Iron
monitors.
Nugget and Adept from Discord. Well, if you are from Discord, then you do in fact. Okay, there you are. Adept. Yes, he says. Super says, are we supposed to be hearing anyone? I can't hear anyone. I saw the desktop audio bar moving on OBS, so. And Hector says I can hear them,
Uh,
so.
I heard me on streams. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, who all do we have here with us today? Ziproot Hector, Cosmic Shrike. I think I've seen that name. Becca, Zora, Scottish Bro. Okay, okay. Just
Mm.
some dude asking about High Reveal. Obligatory ask. Strategic Farina Defense. Adept, we already mentioned. A Draft Chimp, who I just gave Acolyte. Check Warrior. And Warp's like, all right, just get it over with. I'm starting with the questions.
Wait, I have a microphone. I can answer them here now.
Wow.
Quick, server mute him.
The first question is outfit idea, cryo chambers. Acts like a jump drive, but every time you jump thousands to millions of years in-game pass depending on your top speed. I don't know how that would be useful in this game. And I can't imagine a plugin would be able to use it very meaningfully either. I think, yeah, that would be a lot of effort for something that would be useless probably.
I mean, technically, we have the engine functionality, and it would take probably several days to advance millions of years, but you know.
Yeah, you jump, but the planet, you jump one way and then you jump back, and it's like millions of years later, but everything is still the same.
I don't know how many years we're
So
talking about. The
Doom,
galaxy might not be in the same spot anymore.
Doom, when they're asleep, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
Inflation will take care of it.
All right, well, I'll just go ahead and say because
Next
we're
question
hey, no,
is asked.
we gotta say
What-
hi to
what-
everybody first. Come on, we didn't even say,
what-
"Hey, how's everyone doing?" You just started talking about the question.
He wants
We
out of
don't
here,
care
bro.
how they're doing. Okay, you do your intro thing.
No, no, no. We'll just
Yeah,
get to the
no,
questions.
you already started it, so
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next question is, will there be any more Drax ships added to the game? The answer is maybe, maybe not. I don't
depends
know
on what
that
you mean.
anyone's decided that there will be or there won't be.
If like another Archon for another region, maybe, but like I don't know about like different ships. They'd probably just still all be Archons. Moltron.
The next question is, will you ever add a story mission where the map is opened up and factions begin to interact with each other directly? I don't know if you've played the game,
Oh.
but there's two places where the map is opened up and different factions interact directly. Two other places, three or four other places where factions interact despite the lack of hyperlinks. No, I didn't, Tyve.
Let's go.
I assume the question meant, will everyone interact with everyone else?
Mm.
Everyone else seems to be able to hear music fruit, so this is probably a you problem. Anyway, if the question meant, will everyone interact with everyone else? Probably not. If that you're looking for some specific faction to interact with another faction, then you'd have to ask that question. The next question is, what is the status of high reveal? Ask Derpy.
Yeah.
All right, Murphy answer.
Someone just left when I said that, and I thought it was Derpy.
No, so I mean, nothing's changed about the plans. The people who are asking this question have very clearly been here, like every single campfire chat. I would have liked to have gotten to it over the summer, but I ended up having a busier summer than anticipated and did not actually do all that much with the game. But
Oh, it's
now that
about
I
to be
am
summer
back,
somewhere else.
yeah, we're getting there. So technically, it'll be during a summer. It's just not my summer that I will be getting to it. But I do plan to have some progress before the end of the year. And by some progress, I don't just mean like some small change on a branch somewhere, but I mean like actually merging stuff into the game, or at least opening pull requests.
Nice.
So, yeah, expect that. Yeah, breaking news: High Reveal will have some progress eventually. TM from Hector. High Reveal in parentheses threatening.
The next question is, will the NPC travel instructions be added back? The answer is yes if they can be made to work. No if they can't.
Yeah.
But someone's going to have to make them work. The next question is, are there any plans for adding achievements to Endless Sky? I don't know.
I don't
Duffy,
think it's
do you
necessary
have
now.
plans?
There's been talks about adding achievements for a while now. So, I mean, what do you mean by achievements? If you mean Steam achievements, the answer is no. Because in order to have Steam achievements, we would need to hook into the Steam API. And as has been talked about in the past, the Steam API has some licensing issues with it that it doesn't mesh well with the license that we use. Effectively speaking, we would need to take Steam's API code, which I guess is not supposed to be open source, and put it into our open source game, therefore violating their license. If we wanted to have Steam achievements, we would need to somehow have a different build of the game that isn't open source, that's only deployed to Steam. Now, if you're talking about in-game achievements, that's something that's definitely been talked about before. Ziproot actually linked the issue. Number 301, 9 years old, yeah. One of the earliest issues. Is this even open still? Let's see. I closed it, didn't I? Oh no, MZ closed it. Wow. Back in 2016. I think there's a newer issue, though, that's related to adding achievements to the game that I might have closed. Because I remember being opened by Startome, yes. 4035, yeah. Well, I guess I would ask, what sort of achievements are people thinking of? Now, this one actually lists a lot. But what achievements would you like to see? But then also, what do you think achievements would actually add to the game? Because at least looking at this list here, some of it is stuff like, oh, you completed a storyline. I mean, that makes sense to be an achievement. But others of it is like, oh, you completed some number of jobs. You did some amount of damage. You have some amount of money. You made a single trade that gets you this many credits. It's kind of like grindfest type of stuff. And like a kind of, you look at any game with achievements like this, and it's always like, oh, get to do 100 jobs, now do 500, now do 1,000, now do 10,000. You know, there's like tiers to the achievements. I really don't know what that would add, though, to the game. Because part of the, I guess, soul of the game, I'm not really sure what term to use other than that, but the game's not really meant to be, oh, here's your checklist, do all these achievements. It's really a game where you're supposed to, explore, see what you can find, interact with NPCs in the world, discover interesting stories to play through. As far as the particular achievements, though, that are talking about completing storylines, I do know that we have another issue that is still open, which is actually milestoned, and I will link this one. 7449. Some aid of storylines, and aid to discoverability. The overall point of this, though, is that it is actually difficult to discover some storylines in the game and figure out when you're finished or when you still have more of the story to complete. Now, if we added achievements to the game, then that would very obviously show you, like, oh, hey, I haven't finished this storyline because I don't have the achievement that says I finished it. But using achievements for that one singular reason, I don't think would be the best approach. And I think that having something more along the lines of what this issue has, where it's some place you can go, probably in your logbook, that outlines, here's the storylines you've started, here are, and it can indicate, oh, I still have more to do, then that would be a much more useful addition to the game, I feel. And it would serve a similar purpose, but be more geared towards a problem that actually needs solved in the game, and that being the discoverability of certain storylines. Whereas achievements are just like, like, would you get anything for them? Because, I mean, some games, they give you a bunch of achievements, and you actually earn rewards for completing achievements. I don't think, though, we would attach credit rewards to achievements, because that kind of, it's very out of universe, so to speak. It doesn't really make sense for a game which is so story-focused to suddenly be giving you rewards for the achievements you complete. Zora says, you joke about this, referring to Ziproot saying the way people know there is a Free Worlds campaign, or that way people know there's a Free Worlds campaign, and Zora says, you joke about this, but achievements can be used to guide players. I think, though, that this issue I linked is, it gets towards that idea of adding something that can guide players without it being achievements.
Yeah, it seems a little backwards. I don't think an achievement should be what helps guide the player. It could, like, passively, but like that shouldn't be the idea of adding the achievement.
Mm-hmm. Land on every planet / moon, says Richie, as an achievement. Well, that sucked. Encounter your first hypergravity system. Finish free worlds without a gun. Find an alien species. Finish the free worlds in a single ship.
Okay, but find the alien species, like all you have to do is just go to the Quark at that point. Because does that count? I think that counts.
Yeah. Hector says it'd be fun to have achievements for weird little things that people can accomplish which they wouldn't do normally, like kill a Kiv with a Firebird or finish the main plot
Yeah.
without a crew.
What a crew. What, you a robot?
just a interceptor the whole time.
Oh, it's like one. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Where we're going, we don't need roads for either jump drive or blind hyperlane sections.
People have done it. They have.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is an extent to which achievements can be used as a way to add replayability to a game that you've
Yeah.
otherwise like completed. Using a I always like to talk about games I'm currently playing outside of Endless Sky. Pokemon. Well, what are some achievements you can do in Pokemon? Well, first off, you can beat the main game, but then you can complete the Pokédex, get a living dex. There's certain grinds that some of the games have that you can do, like join Avenue in Black and White 2. What else? The entry, I guess. Stuff like that. It's not really like a list of achievements, but it is some extra side content, so to speak, that you can do after you've otherwise completed the rest of the game. And achievements are a form of side content that could fill that role.
Mm-hmm.
Although, again, looking at it from that perspective, I wonder if it should be more of a... Like, maybe we add a mechanism to have achievements in the game, but just don't have vanilla achievements. And then have a plugin with, like, a bunch of achievements in it. And it's like, hey, if you want to play... If you want to do a lot more stuff, maybe do some stupid stuff, here's a semi-officially supported plugin that adds a bunch of achievements to the game that include stuff like kill a Kiv and a Firebird, you know? That would definitely be coming at it from the perspective of adding an engine mechanic that isn't used in the vanilla game, which we do have some of those, but it's generally not our focus. Ebzil C X says also make achievements be a New Game Plus thing. That's something else we could do. Make it so that achievements are only available after you have completed the main plot or completed some set of storylines or something along those lines. Yeah, and Zora says we have a mechanism for achievement. It's called global conditions. I mean, yeah, I guess the mechanism is kind of there, but UI-wise, how would you display achievements? That's more what I'm thinking of in terms of making an achievements mechanic. Because right now we wouldn't... Because what I'm imagining is there's some menu in the game you can go to that has a list of achievements. And each achievement can have a progress bar, potentially. And like, how would you show a progress bar in the game right now? I mean, I guess you would read a value of some condition and say, here's the max. And then you would have to display like X out of Y. But we don't have any way to display progress bars. Line shader? Asks Type. We probably could use that for a progress bar. But then how would you create something right now, you know, that creates a progress bar and then also reads a condition to set the progress bar's length?
We could do like 90% of that with interface definitions because it's just a bar and we have those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have the volume bars, everything. We can link them to conditions pretty easily in the code. Yeah, like that actually shouldn't be too hard. Like, you know how we have like a dozen different volume bars in that one menu?
Mm-hmm.
Just make that scrollable and generate it in runtime based on whatever achievements we have defined. And have a condition for all of them, and that's actually the simple part.
Yeah.
It's all of the triggers that we would need for the achievements. I think that would be complex.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I will say I wouldn't rule out the idea that we would ever have anything along these lines, but I do feel like it kind of defeats the purpose of what the game is trying to be, to then be like, oh, here's 100 something achievements you can do.
Derpy, did you get out of your way to merge enough PRs to get us down to 100?
That wasn't the goal when I started, but it quickly became the goal when I realized, oh, hey, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. Why do you ask?
I just noticed that we're at exactly 100 after your merge sprint.
I would have merged more, but I still can't build the game. So some of these I was like, that looks like it'll work, but some of them I'm like, I want to test this first.
Still issue.
I mean, hey, it messed up our Steam release too, so there's something going on that's not just me.
Wait, is your
But
issue
it's-
just that you can't download the thing?
I'm pretty sure it's the same issue. There's that 503 error.
Oh,
Is it?
okay. Well, keep trying.
I've been trying for like
Yeah.
2 weeks.
How often?
But it just
I probably tried like 6 or 7 times in the past hour alone.
Try
And
again.
then over the past 2 weeks, it's like 50 tries.
Just keep trying.
it
Maybe
just
you've been
randomly
blacklisted.
works.
It started working for the GitHub runners as soon as we found a solution that didn't need it.
Well, then it broke again.
I think it's still working on GitHub.
You could probably just download the same thing that we downloaded for the release. Just you would actually be able to pull the VC package cache. That might be easier if you know which one it is.
Yeah. Pyro asked you on a VPN, maybe. I've tried with and without the VPN active. All right, well. That's the achievements question done, right? Also, and it just failed again. I'll mess with it later. Zuper says there's already 2 exclusive free worlds endings, and I think achievements would be good so people know that. Potentially.
The next question is too many words. I'm not reading it.
I will.
Okay, well then one of us will read it.
There are a few open or orphan pull quests related to fleets. 9106, raid fleet stacking. 11046, AI less likely to gang up on you. And 11692, make you pay higher salaries for officers. What are your thoughts on these pull quests and or on fleets versus solo ship gameplay in general?
Everyone knows I'm a broken record on this. I guess I'll go then. Raid Fleet Stack. I don't remember if that one was orphaned or still open, but I know that one's kind of iffy just because that's specifically whether your
was
fleet is
broken.
bigger. Is what? Sorry?
It was broken, he said.
Broken.
Broken? Okay.
Well, the best case scenario is that it works perfectly, but it's so incomprehensible that it looks broken.
It's just one of those things that is specifically tied to how many ships you have in a fleet, which we have said before that we're not building the game around you having hundreds upon hundreds of ships in a fleet. if that one will be sticking around, like I don't know, maybe even like close it or anything. But I'll just jump to the observe PR. Make AI less likely to gang up on you. I mean, any change that makes the AI a bit better to play against, especially in group battles, is probably a good change. Good change. I remember reading about that when he was developing it. It was looking pretty good so far from playtests I've seen, but I haven't personally looked at it. And then the anarchist one,
It's in the
which
draft still.
is it okay?
Yeah.
Anarchist PR to have salaries for officers for an economic penalty in larger fleets. I think it's a little bit less make it an economic penalty on larger fleets, but more so making it hard to get larger fleets. Like just I guess it is kind of both, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about that change? I think it's a good change because there is nothing on larger fleets right now. You can just capture as many ships as you want. Although there's so many different things we can do to prevent that and or make it less of a case. But like overall thoughts before anyone else responds. Yes, the game is based more on solo play. It's more based around the idea that you're flying one ship that you upgrade periodically through the story, depending on what's available to you. So, in the Free Worlds campaign, by the end of it, you're kind of expected to be in a dreadnought or some small fleet equivalent of that. It's like maybe, I don't know, like a couple Firebirds or something like that. But beyond that, it's still more like small gameplay. If you have like 10 Kivs or 10 shield beaters, whatever like that, that's going beyond what the game's balanced around. So PRs that kind of work around that in between kind of place of having a one ship and having a few ships, I'd say is a good idea. Yeah, but do people even do single ship runs? Yes. Do people often do it, or is it like the most common thing? Probably not. I think at some point players usually capture like one or two pirate ships and have like a small fleet going on. But if you're capturing an entire fleet before you do free rolls or something like that, that's a bit of a different story. um, Even if people aren't doing that, that's still what we're balancing the game around, though. And yes, a lot of people do prefer to play with it. It's a lot of people, especially from the escape velocity genre, which our game is inspired by, because it was also like a solo ship game where you had like a max of 6 ships you could have, and a lot of people kind of adopt that philosophy of 6 is kind of a good number. But yeah,
I still advocate adding a game rule that lets us cap the
yeah,
fleet size of the player, because
I think that's going to be a big
I
one.
don't think that there's going to be any way that we can ever say like properly balance larger fleets. I'm
Yeah,
not that I'm necessarily against the idea of the officer salaries, but I feel like if the goal is to make it so that larger fleets are harder to upkeep, then really that's just adding an inconvenience. That just means that you have to deathball harder and
mm,
like just lean into what's already successful in order to make up for the fact that you have such a high upkeep. Hector says we did a survey on it, and about 60% of respondents said they use 3 or less ships throughout the game. So
yeah,
make of that what you will. Then Doom says I would rather see something that made large fleets less effective in combat rather than just making it harder to assemble one. And Hector said more AoE and piercing weapons then, with a thumbs up from Zora. That was definitely a direction we could go. But that's still a balancing point that you can still just add more ships to your fleet and overcome whatever
yeah,
level of Pierce or AoE you're dealing with.
yeah,
So
and
as
that's
long as
what.
the number of ships in your fleet is uncapped, there's really nothing we can do.
Yeah, and we don't want to make it be like a core part of vanilla that would put an explicit limit on that. So that's why we were talking about it more being like a game rule that you can turn on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And something people bring up a lot with it, and Zora brought it up as well, is they kind of look at fleet size as a difficulty for Endless Sky. So maybe you have a difficulty if you're limited to one ship. So if there's a game rule for it, someday you limit your save to one, or maybe 10 ships, 40 ships, something like that. But once you start getting past, like I'd say even 20, that's going past what most things are designed around. I'm wondering if having larger fleets, I'm wondering if that's like kind of a mobile thing, because when I think of Endless Sky being played mobily, I think like Fleet Commander almost, like people are playing around with these giant fleets and guiding them around. But yeah. Yes, fighters and drones do not count towards your fleet size.
And bear in mind too, whenever I will notice, it used to be I would bring up the idea of capping the fleet size and clarify it would be a game rule and people would freak out. I haven't seen anyone freak out here, so maybe people finally got it. Like this would not be something we enforce on everyone.
Yeah.
It would be a game rule, or probably on by default, but you would be able to choose an option that says, "Hey, I don't want my fleet to be capped."
Yeah.
Zipper says, "I still think it should be a setting and not a game rule." Well, what's the difference?
Game rules would probably have their own, like tab and preferences somewhere, or like next to it. Don't you have it on the PR somewhere? Like
Yeah, I have a
how
PR
it would
for
look?
it. Game rules will be changed by like 5 people total, but that's only because they're hidden right now. I also have a pull
Yeah.
requests to make them not hidden. Well, I'm
Yeah.
getting towards making them not hidden. So you know how game rules work in Minecraft? That's the goal. That's the end goal. When you start a save file, when you start a new world, when you start a new pilot, you'll have a menu you can go to say, "Hey, I want to tweak the game rules to be such and such." And then when you start that pilot, that's the game rules you're stuck with. I don't think it should be the case that you can change game rules after the fact, at least not in the UI. Although it'll all be in your save file. So if you really want to, you could go into your save file and change the game rules after the fact.
I think tying it to the save is probably better, yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
the
you
pull
choose to
request I
do it.
currently have open makes it so that you can tie game rules to a save file, and when you have you can have game rule presets, and a game rule preset is just like a certain set of game rules that we've made, that we've curated to say, hey, this is a potential way you could play the game that we know is a generally balanced experience. And you can choose a preset after choosing the start that you choose. So you can say, hey, I want to start in high space and use the fleet cap preset, or I want to start in human space and use the vanilla preset, which is probably what we have now, you know?
Mm-hmm. I thought about Halo when I was when I was younger playing Halo. Like you'd have the 4 settings. The first one would be easy. The second one would say this is how the game's intended to be played. Or I think
Yeah.
it was the third difficulty, and then there would be like the crazy difficulty. But there was one that was like clearly saying this is how Halo is meant to be. So we'd probably have like a preset that says this is how Endless Sky is meant to be.
Yeah. Blop says, "Be brave and make game rules a command I have to type." Oh yeah, we'll add a command line, a debug, whatever it is. Cheats, activate cheats. You have to type into the
Left,
logbook.
right, up, down. I gotta use the arrow keys.
Yeah. Arata says, coming into this discussion late, but I would enjoy some sort of limit on fleet size, especially if it's something that I could extend via gameplay, but still have a reasonable limit that meant I had to pay attention to my fleet ships, or my fleet ships even in the late game. It currently spirals out of control very quickly as soon as you get decent money, and money is not hard to come by past the very beginning of the game. Yes. And I will note, there's actually multiple ways we could do a fleet cap. One of them is we just have a flat cap that is, you get it at the start of the game, you can never go above it. Another way, though, is to have some sort of mechanism through the game itself to increase your cap as time goes on. Of course, that would only go so far, but it would be a way for you to still gain power as you continue to play. One of the, Strategic says combat XP. Yeah, that is one way that we've considered doing it, is having your combat level in some way tied to how many fleets you can have. Another way would be to have something in the story, Like as you progress through the story, you unlock the ability to have bigger fleets. Um, Magnus says increasing the cap as you play sounds really cool. You already have licenses. Have a license for fleet size. Yeah, that's another way we could potentially go about it. Evil Bot asks Ghost Ping. No, I at everyone earlier, so probably not a Ghost Ping.
Licensed. You're not allowed to be dominating worlds with 100 ships. Don't do that.
Yeah. Hector says, I feel like a general cap on total fleet strength would be fun. So it's up to the player if they would like a small, big, super strength warship or a few smaller ships that all add up to the same total strength. Yes, that as well. There's also the question of, do we want it to just be a count of ships, or do we want it to be some sort of fleet strength value where the ships that you purchase have a different value for each ship? So like interceptors could have a value of 1, whereas light warships might be 2. Medium warships are a 4, and heavy warships are a 6 or a 7. I did not know. Now, back, pause. I did ignore what I just said. Sipper got it, yeah. That was totally not intended. Arata says a max crew logistics could be this, or could do this, but Automata invalidate that. Yeah, I don't think we would want any sort of mechanic that can be invalidated by using Automata. I mean, Automata already invalidate crew costs, so we wouldn't want to add more to that.
I thought we had something that equated their ships to whatever a certain crew amount.
We do, actually, yeah, Zibru just pointed that out. We have the crew equivalent value.
Yeah. By the way, Arata pilot, cool ship. I'm a Zadar pilot. I don't know if they can hear me. It's from Override.
But, yeah, TLDR, if you want to buy 100,000 ships, go for it. But we would like a way for the game to cap that as an optional thing that I imagine most people would actually engage with. Because, now granted, there is the point that, like, you could just play a certain way. You could just play and decide not to buy a ton of ships. But I do also understand that some people want the game to limit them in some way. Warp says, just don't complain when your game runs slow when you have a bunch of ships, yeah.
I saw a comment earlier. Actually, it was like it was a bug report in the Discord saying how their game gets really laggy when they board and capture a course Maneth, and it's like that's why it's uncapturable. I don't know if they took the tag off or not, but there is a point where the game starts to lag for a lot of like lower end systems because of how many calculations it has to be made for the crew, because of how many crew on that ship. It's like what 30,000 or something.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to be the only ship in the entire game that has that much crew.
Okay, Ebzel asks, or says, licenses should also be tied to species. Why would Wanderers obey human caps? In terms of that, I would say it's just a gameplay mechanic at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, everyone accepts the same credits. The bank works everywhere. You can hire a crew everywhere, and nobody bats an eye. So, at a certain point, it just does have to become a matter of, well, this is the gameplay mechanic we want to enforce. We don't necessarily need a robust story reason for it.
Yeah.
Everyone hates nerve gas, apparently, you know.
Next question is also long, and I don't think Warp will read that, so I'll read it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a continuation of that last one. It's talking about how to deal with capture economy. So this isn't a question, but I'll read it anyways. Making ships illegal or giving them illegal outfits. I mean, we kind of do that with pirates already, but the ship itself illegal. I don't know, what would that be? Like the Korg think our effect is legal, although that kind of ruins one of the missions they have where they see you have one. It sounds more like a license system, right? Where you need a license to have insert ship class or type here. I don't know if we need to go that nuanced with it. Second one in the list is a simple version of, I don't know what 8506 is referring to. Outfits that are required for capturing and automatically consumed. Oh, okay, so I think that was your PR, Derpy, with the lockpick tool kind of approach.
Yes.
I was a fan of that. I thought that was a good idea because then you'd have to you wouldn't be able to just board any alien ship and then just steal it. Like you'd have to have there'd be like an extra step in between. Like okay, well now you got to crack open the Korath's giant airlock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or at least they're like I think you said like the key in the ignition kind of example. Like you're not gonna just start up their control system. Like you're not gonna know how to do that. Maybe something like that. And then the third one is cutting all prices across the board. That was also brought up before. Um, essentially buffing everything else. I feel like that kind of just pushes the solution off a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't say this is the way we want to go, because there have
Yeah.
actually been changes that have been made over the years with the express intention of making the game not go by too quickly.
Mhm.
There is a certain pace of the game that we're expecting you to play through, and yes, capturing ships increases the pace, but I don't know if the solution then is to just make everything the same pace.
Yeah.
Lower everything to the same. I don't know which direction would that be, higher or lower pace. I guess it's higher pace. Make everything super high pace instead of bringing things to a more middling pace that they're expected to be.
What are your thoughts? Okay, yeah, we answered that.
Zipper says, I think Star Sector has something similar. You have crew and capture crew, which is drastically more expensive. I think that is actually something that has been talked about as well, as having it be that your normal crew doesn't engage in capturing. It has to be your excess crew, and that excess crew costs you more. Although,
Mhm.
I think that the problem with capture, well, when do they get paid extra? When do they cost more? If it's a daily thing, then the problem there is you can buy a bunch of crew in the system you want to capture a ship in, take off, capture the ship, land, get rid of all the crew. And
Mm.
the cost, it's 1 day of cost at that point. If you are, I mean, this is already kind of the case now. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm playing the game and I'm trying to capture a ship, I only load up an extra crew when I know I'm going to go capture a ship.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's it is an extra cost in a sense to capturing, but it's a cost that is very easily avoided. And I don't think we should be adding things that can be easily avoided like this if we're trying to balance capturing. That's why, like with that pull quest that I linked, having it be that there is some extra outfit cost to capturing a ship, that would be something we could force. You're always going to need this cost to capture the ship. And that way, capturing a ship isn't effectively free. And I think that that is largely what I think the main issue with capturing is that the upfront cost is so much less than if you would just buy the ship outright. Because you already have your own ship, and you can. The extra crew is 100 a day per crew member. That's hardly anything. Hand-to-hand weapons don't cost a lot, and you can also sell them after you're done with them. So that's another way of making it so that you can kind of dodge a cost there. You at least need the upfront funds, but if you capture the ship you want and sell all your hand-to-hand, you effectively paid nothing for the ship you just captured. Yeah, and this guy with a sunglasses emoji face says as a name, "World ship's too expensive. Just park it. LOL. Impossible to balance." Yeah. Magnus says there's no other reason to hire extra crew. That is correct. If you're not capturing, don't hire extra crew. Funeral fees. We used to have that.
Yeah,
The
a lot of
problem with
players
that
didn't really like
approach,
that.
yeah, we had death benefits. Whenever a
Yeah.
crew member died in hand-to-hand combat, you would have to pay death benefits to the family of the crew member, and that would just show up as in the bank as a line that you had to deal with. The problem though is that you could what ended up happening is people would capture like one or two big ships that would cost them a lot because of that. But then if you wanted to make money, you would just capture small ships where you would practically never lose crew because you would have your Bactrian with like 300 crew members capturing like interceptors and light warships with anywhere from like 1 to low 2-digit crew members, and you would just never lose anyone. Abno asks, should I kill the crew member's family to avoid paying them death benefits? Yeah.
Last question. I'm gonna get to it real quick because I do want to. I'll be right back after.
Okay.
But when are the September meeting minutes gonna be published? Later tonight. I dug up the notes on it that I did that I thought I lost. So sorry. I'll get to that tonight.
Oh, if you'd lost those, people would be like, "What are they planning? What is this dev tyranny?"
Most of that meeting was just going through all the milestones for this update, and there were just so many that it was unrealistic to get to all of that in the next week.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all the submitted questions. So I guess we can just go through the Discord chat now, unless people for some reason submit more. Stuffy Evil says, yeah, that's a fair point. Problem with game balancing stuff, I guess. Trying to restrict something can promote other weird/unusual behavior. Correct. Strategic says, what if crew capture or capture crew had both a higher salary and you had to pay a bonus for actually capturing ships? I suppose that could work insofar as the bonus would be based off of the value of the ship you're capturing. Then that would be a unavoidable cost that wouldn't be dodged by just capturing smaller ships, because it would be some percentage value of the ship you've just captured. The question then, though, would be, what would that value be? Would it be 25% of the full value of the ship? Because that's just what you would get if you sold the ship. And then selling ships would never be a way to gain money. Although, I feel like the issue with capturing is not that captured ships can be sold to get money. Because if you want to make money, the best way to do that is actually just buy a bunch of freighters and to trade goods. But if you are capturing ships, the problem there is more that you're dodging the cost. So I guess some sort of bonus system based off of the value of the captured ship actually could be a potential solution. When are we getting Endless Sky 2? Probably never. I don't know. Why would we make an Endless Sky 2? Before the Navy campaign, yeah. Yeah, what's I know Ninja Kiwi with their SAS Zombie Assault games. They've never really made a full Zombie Assault game. They always especially, I think it started with 3. SAS Zombie Assault 3 had like a story aspect to it. They never finished. SAS Zombie Assault 4, same thing. They're releasing a new Zombie Assault game. They're working on a new Zombie Assault game right now. It's not even called SAS anymore, so it's like, how good is it even going to be? But it's like, okay, let me guess. You're going to start this one and then abandon it after a couple years again. Let me scroll down a bit. Arata says, I'm overall happy with the capturing gameplay that is separate from a fleet cap. Fleet cap would apply to bot ships as well. Yes. A fleet cap would apply to both the ships you buy and the ships you capture. If you are already at your cap, you probably would not be able to capture a ship. Yeah.
Yeah, assuming you are Arata from Override, it is a bit more than just the board a ship and you have a 1% chance of capturing it. It was fun when I played, when you got a 1% chance of capturing a world ship and then you hit it. But yeah.
Hector says, wow, SCS Zombie Assault is a blast from the past. Yeah. Did you know they're making a new game? No joke. I was thinking to myself, I was like, I work on Endless Sky a lot. What if I just made my own game from scratch? And I wanted to make like an SAS Zombie Assault type of game. just because the fourth game has been abandoned basically for so long, and I really like the zombie assault games. No joke, the very day I sat down and started programming the game, I open up Steam and I see a notification from, because I have STS Zombie Assault 4 on Steam, and I get the community hub notification. We're working on a new Zombie Assault game. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. The second I sit down to make my own. So I just stopped. I was like, I'll wait until the new one comes out, see how good it is, and if it sucks, I'll go back to trying to make my own. We'll see where that leads.
On that came up because someone asked for ES2, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I think the way I see things happening, I'm not gonna say there might someday be Endless Sky 2, but it's funny because with the EV series, every consecutive game I think was a plugin of the previous game before it got conceptualized into another game in the series as a sequel. So part of me is wondering if someday maybe this guy will have like a huge plugin and that will be the next game-ish like it. This is kind of how the genre's gone. I feel like this game genre is a lot more niche than some people think. Like the EV genre, Endless Sky, Nave. It's quite a particular kind of like 2D space game style. Well, 2D, 3D. So you know what happened to MZ? Oh, here we go, Derpy. You got to pull out the written notes you have on that whenever anyone asks that.
Oh yeah, let me consult the tome over here. So, TLDR, I mean, Marksman said he got very, very busy with work. Yeah, so for him, making Endless Sky was just, it really was just a hobby, a fun thing to do on the side. As he got busier with work at one point, and as Endless Sky got bigger to the point where it was becoming almost a second job to maintain for him, he just lost interest. Yeah, Warp System started in 2018. Yeah, so I mean, it's been a while now. And
Yeah.
if you want to know what he's doing these days, Ziproot did link his itch.io page. He does still make small little games here and there.
That's cool.
So
He probably checks in the sky every now and then.
yeah. So he's still alive, if that's what you were asking. Warp says you can also stalk him on other platforms. I would not
Don't
suggest
do
that you
that.
stalk him.
Yeah, don't go
Disavow.
chase after him now.
Yeah. Stuffy Evil Endless Sky 2, except with a scale-accurate Milky Way.
And this MZ will return when the Navy campaign is or something.
Yeah. So somebody asked if the devs get paid. The answer is no. This
No.
is all volunteer work. Zora said all ES is done for free. We don't accept monetary donations. And Marksman points
Yep.
out, practically speaking, there's no feasible way to spread the donations between us across the planet. Yeah, there's lots of
Yeah.
people involved. I mean, we have the list of devs, but then there's people, there's contributors who have contributed a lot to this game. So the question would be, would they get paid in some way? There was a point in the past where I considered, like, what if I made a Patreon or a Subscribestar page where I just took payment for my own development on the game? But then if I'm the only one taking payment, then it's like, how does that work with everyone else who's still contributing to the game? Ultimately, the decision is same as MZ. He didn't want to take any money because he didn't want to turn this into a second job, like literally a second job because he was getting paid for it. I mean, none of us really want to do the same either. So, all free, all volunteer work, all just hobby time that we spend. Most of us have real jobs. Some of us are unemployed, I guess. I don't know. And Warp says he already got more money than he wanted. Yeah, that's true too. He did. I do recall him saying at some point that he does a lot of donations. So he makes plenty with his real job. Real in quotes, you know. Lord Nicholas, in parentheses, locked in, asks, how did Derby become the current lead dev? I mean, that was just a matter of Part of it's seniority, and then part of it is just, I don't know, passion. I do so much, or I did so much. I don't know how much I do these days, But so what happened was MZ stopped contributing to the game consistently. We realized, like, hey, he's not contributing to the game a lot, but we had a lot of people who would make plugins or who made pull requests to the game at the time who were still really interested in the game and wanted to see it continue being developed. So we almost forked the game entirely to start our own development separate from MZ just because of how slow he was being. He realized that we had an open issue that Kiko opened, actually, if that's a name you remember, asking like, hey, can we have some sort of communication here? Can we have people who can actually add to the game? MZ responds. He asked, okay, who should I add? And that ended up being myself, Tehouch, and Pointed Stick. Tehouch and Pointed Stick are no longer actively contributing. So out of the original 3, I'm the last one left. So, Blop says, by seniority, Derpy means age. In parentheses, Derpy is 57. This is not true. I am a little over half of that age. Actually, no, a little under half of that age. I am 25, so I'm not 57. Zobes, have I finally gotten that right? Zobes asks, or says, I have loads of more dev questions. I don't want to come off the wrong way. I have lots that I want to contribute, but I can't seem to find the dev to adopt my ideas and merge them. My first pull request will be 1 year old in 29 days, but who's counting? Yeah. Let me see which one that is, actually.
When I was a Wii contributor to the game, my first PR also went over a year, but it
Yeah.
was adding a whole alien faction area to the game. So,
Yeah. All right. I'll note we still definitely want to do that one. It's milestone for 10.17. It's marked as waiting on dev. We absolutely need to refactor the outfitter code and UI. So it's not so much a problem of getting someone to adopt your ideas. We've already adopted your idea. We absolutely want this. It's more just a matter of time. So currently, given the fact that we're in a stable release cycle, we're not going to be, or at least I'm not going to be looking at this just because we're focusing on bug fixes. But this is something that, given that it is on the older side and it is marked for the next unstable update, I would be surprised if we kick this off again.
yeah.
Because this is, I mean, frankly, this is something that we should just finally bite the bullet on and get working, I would love to hear what is needed. If it needs to be cut up or anything, I'm awaiting feedback. I don't think it's waiting on you. It's waiting on us. Hence the waiting on dev tag. So, yeah, sorry for the wait. As we just got finished saying, this is all volunteer work. But should not be a wait much longer. Remember that the stable update is going to be end of this month, October 25th. Last Saturday of the month, that's when we do these. So then that means we have a week and 3 days to merge your pull request before it's a year old. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if we really wanted to.
That's fun.
Go
Actually, go ahead with what Doom said.
Okay, I was going to read what Doom said too. You'll notice that actual companies that do coding have paid developers and paid testers, all of whom are working full 40-hour work weeks, and we do not. It is really just a question of us not having the people / time to it, or the people time to address all the code changes that get pull requested. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something I'll say, not to like downplay the current situation, but it used to be worse. Not that we can't improve, but it used to be worse.
there was a time, was it like 2020 or so that it started picking up? Our releases were a lot longer. It wasn't every 3 to 4
Consult the
months,
chart.
and then and yeah, it wasn't every 3 to 4 months for a major release and like a 1 month for a minor. It was at least 6 months for every major release, and then every minor release would still be upwards of like what, a couple months. But then there was a time where we started kicking into gear more and trying to narrow that down a bit. And since MZ left the game, it picked up quite a bit, and we're pretty happy with the pace of things as they are now. There's still just those unfortunate cases where yes, a PR might sit for a while, or someone might have to go run off to real life stuff for like a month or something like that, but not much we can do there.
Yeah. So consulting the chart, um, back in the start of 2021, we got a massive uptick in interest in the game and pull quests. In the span of about 4 months, we went from 100 open pull quests to 185. And there was a dip at one point where it looks like there was some activity trying to get that down, noticing it was skyrocketing. If that dip had not happened, we probably would have hit 200.
I thought we did hit 200.
No, the highest we ever hit was
No?
185.
Okay. And
And
we only recently went back down below 100 again.
yeah, so for ever since 2021 up until the start of this year, really, we've been floating between 120 and 180, but we now finally have it down so that we're floating between 120 and 80.
Yeah.
So stuff is getting done at a. And I've also talked about this before because people always ask, is that just because there's less pull quests being opened? No, in fact, the number of open pull quests we get, it has been trending upward still. It's just that we've really kicked ourselves into gear, and we're getting stuff done a lot more. Let me once again, let me look at the monthly stats on how many pull quests have been opened. And we'll average it over 3 months just because of the release cycle. And I will add this to a chart. And I'll screenshot it and send it, because why not?
I was gonna. Oh yeah, you had. I don't want to interrupt you if you're still going. I was gonna read Epsil's question of what would be preferred to add in terms of content. Everyone seems inclined towards new alien species. I want more exploring of interesting passive for humanity. And I think I saw Zora said the preference is currently fleshing out the aliens we have rather than adding new ones. In that line of thought, yeah. So there's a couple of alien species that haven't really gotten progress. I'm still working on the Gegno. Like I work on them every other day now. The Bunrodia are derpies. He's probably going to be held up for quite a bit longer before getting to those. But and then there's also the Incipias, which the creator of them is not around right now. So for existing ones, and also the successors for Derry, but I think Derry's just kind of missing for like right now, but she'll be back. In terms of alien factions, yeah, there could be a little bit more work on them, and I guess the big thing to note there is you should look at the original PR of the species if you're interested in contributing to them or expanding upon them. See what the creator's original intent was, any like lore information you can get, as well as like try and contact the creator, so stuff like that. But as for absolutely new species, I've been saying like the last year or so, we probably want to avoid that until we do touch the main campaign of the game again. And there has been some progress or like looking around to see what we can do to continue those two things. That's been kind of like a point this year, is trying to get some sort of lead on that, get the ball rolling. But as for content outside of either alien species or main campaign, everybody likes short mission chains, especially in human space. Or even in other alien places, if you know like the background lore and stuff like that. We're always looking to have new content in the game like that.
Also, I posted that graph. It doesn't have the dates on it, but you can probably tell when that big spike was. And as you can see, we have the up and down that happens with our release cycle, but the trend line is still going up. And that spike at the start is when MZ was active, and that big drop is when he became inactive. So actually, now that I say that, though, you can see if you draw a line across from that spike near the start towards where we are now, you can see that the activity level we have now in terms of open pull request is similar to the activity level that MZ was dealing with when he was just one guy. So you can probably imagine why he probably got burned out on working on the game when it became a lot less of working on his own stuff and a lot more of dealing with pull requests.
Is there a kind person asks, is there current campaign storyline factions being prioritized, or is there a poll? Because a lot of the game's content and efforts aren't one specific source or person, there's not really like a major prioritization unless we do set down and kind of outline stuff. So the most recent example is Hireville, and I imagine when Derpy picks that up, we'll probably be focusing on that because that's a big content addition in the game that we want to get in. I know one of the other devs, Roadrunner, who's not here right now, would like to get some sort of background progress in the Republic campaign. As for alien factions, I think those just kind of more come from the individual who created them, plus those who might be interested in helping them. So it's not really like one individually directed effort for the entire project, unless it's like a big either big content addition or like a big I'd say like a code refactor, which is what Derpy was saying earlier with your PR Zobes, which is definitely something we want to get into the game. The thing with bigger PRs like that, though, is it's less. The reason why other PRs might pop up or get closed before something like that is because we really want to have time to sit down and go through the entire PR and then also talk to the other devs about the content in it, what fits the game, what doesn't, the code, stuff like that. Smaller PRs are kind of easier to chip away or peek at once a week and stuff like that. But those big ones that change like a big portion of the game's code or content, we really want to make sure we have as many people there and as much of our brain power there as possible before we actually look deeply at it. And it's kind of hard when people are across the planet and not everyone is around at the same time. I'm not going to speak for the code devs, but I know Tybe's typically really busy. Tom's trying to get around, and Warp's here. He could speak for himself. Derpy also has been busy pretty recently.
Yeah. And I sure says I don't believe in devs. Has anyone ever really seen one? I don't know. Have they? A quick response, though, to Zob's comment here. He says, my point was that people with merge powers get more stuff in. I mean, yeah, I'm not a dev, but that's my frustration. I've asked for some proper tasking to help move things in the right place. I cannot merge my own code. Others can, others do. Devs favor merging other devs. New pull requests get a first glance, feedback is given, and then after the code changes again, there's very little more and no merge. I mean, I won't... Let me think how to word this. He also says, okay, that would help me. A wannabe contributor is... Or what would help me a wannabe contributor is to understand the dev's priorities and focus. I think that while there probably is a matter of dev pull requests are more likely to get merged, I think there's also something you can see that's a difference between your average pull request and a dev's pull request. I just merged a bunch of stuff right before this stream, and most of it was from developers, and by developers I mean Tom. But it was also a lot of small stuff. He was just going through fixing a bunch of small bugs and issues. In terms of bigger pull requests, which your oldest pull request is, I would definitely describe as a bigger pull request. Bigger pull requests generally always take longer, regardless of who it's from. But there is a matter to it that developers are just some of the most experienced contributors to the game. Somebody mentioned earlier, I'm not going to find the message, but somebody mentioned earlier, a lot of the top contributors are the ones who actually do get promoted to developer. So by being a developer, we know you're already pretty top-notch in the work you do. And if you are top-notch in the work you do, the pull requests that you open are less likely to need changes. There is still a review process to them. We do still look over each other's pull requests before we merge them, but just given the fact that these are the people who have been around for such a long amount of time, have shown that they are good at what they do, their first try is, if not exactly where we want it anyway, super close. So I think that would probably be where the data is biased the most, I guess you could say, and it's not for any reason of nepotism or some underhandedness from us. Not saying that you were getting at that, just kind of laying that out there, because I think we've had people in the past who do kind of accuse us of that. Not that we've had any super recently, but that is something we've had to deal with before. As for the general understanding of devs' priorities and focus, I mean, you can ask us here. That's partly what this is for. I feel like some of that though just comes with time and experience. A lot of the people who have core member in the server have been around for years and years. And they I would say, I mean, maybe the core members in the chat here can chime in on this, but I would say these people also generally ones that kind of know our focus, know how we run things, and part of it because it, again, going back to the fact that this is all volunteer stuff, we're not like professionals at this at all. I would say a lot of it is us just stumbling through things too. So it's not like, I don't know. Azure says, I think we're still on the summer slump of people being less active. Yeah, that too. Part of it also just ends up being like time of day, or not time of day, like time of the year, what the general activity level that year is. Yeah, it's got a lot of ups and downs. I mean, again, not to say there's not room for improvement, and we're constantly trying to improve how we do things and talk to people and take people like you who, like, I can see what you're opening. I can see you're really interested in this. I can see you do really good work. We do want to have people like you continue to contribute to the game. We don't want people like you to be burned out on waiting forever for us to get to things. But trying to find my wording. Coding is an escape from reality. Reality sucks. Yeah. Y'all need to know how much my wife thinks I love this game more than her. Okay, that's dedication. I mean, I would just say you kind of have to work with us at the end of the day. Like, find a way to work with us, and we have to find a way to work with you. Just because of how it's one of the it's just one of the aspects of this being a volunteer project. There's only so much that we can set up as like guidelines and how we can structure our management before it starts to become a drag on us. So we don't want to have things be super structured. So there is a degree of unstructuredness to the whole development of the game that kind of comes with the territory of it being a volunteer project. Stuffy Evil says, yeah, my impression is that this game is very much a community process. Zob says, roger that, fair, yeah. If Coltrans G, huh? I wonder if knowing more about what dev work your pull request is waiting on would have helped you. I mean, and that just comes with us having the time. So, Azure says there is no community, there is only alts. Or there are only alts, yeah.
People are wild. And
TLDR, I feel like I'm kind of rambling here. I'm not really laying out my thoughts perfectly, but I think you guys kind of understand what I'm getting at. It's a volunteer project. There is a degree of unstructuredness to it. We're trying our best. We understand that you guys are really interested in the game, and we're trying to do right by you guys. But there is a certain degree of jank that we kind of all need to live with. Hector says, when did Derpy start his villain arc again? I don't know. I think I had it in my bio for a while, and then I got rid of it, and now it's
you ended it?
a funny Bible quote. Stuffy Evil says, yeah, this game is pretty janky, lol.
I'm actually curious, Zobes. What do you love about the game the most? Because this is coming from someone who doesn't really touch the code, but I see that a lot of our code contributors really are just deep into the game's code and much less actually playing the game, but they're having like a time of their life seeing what they could do with the code and like what additions they can make to like the UI or how the ships interact with them and stuff like that. I know like Tybe and Tom, they're deep into that, but they don't often like talk about like campaign content or stuff like that. So I'm just curious. Loved EV, made plugins. Okay, cool.
Terrible plugins, by the way.
Some of us did grow up on EV. I certainly did. I grew up on the floppy disk for Override. If that one errata guy is still in here, Override was my first EV game on a floppy disk, and I loved it. And then I went to Nova, and I kept going after that. I think Derpy, did you play the EV series?
No, not growing up at all.
Okay.
I
know some
started
others
with
did.
Endless Sky, and then I think I played the Eevee Nova demo, and that's it.
Yeah. That was probably back when you still kind of had to register the game with money, and it was kind of like at the end of Ambrosia's life.
I mean, I think Ambrosia was actually already kind of underwater at that point.
Okay. But yeah. I know obviously MZ played EV. His favorite game was I think the first and second one, and that's kind of why our game looks a bit more like the first two EV games and not Nova, which is more 3D and kind of like a little bit of a different style.
2.5.
That was still one of my favorite games, yeah. I think Tahouch, I think he played EV. I don't remember.
I think he did.
But yeah,
Him and I think Pointed also did.
I'm just a boomer. Okay.
Pointed definitely did, because Pointed has a few not pull requests, but issues open asking for EV features. Yeah, Doom says I never played EV and first heard about it on the server. Yeah, it's either you've never heard about EV before or you were an EV fanatic growing up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, someone already asked about the HRE. Right? Derpy said he'd like to actually get some pull requests, or even maybe something into the game by the end of the year, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, I do see that Tom still has the most open pull requests at 17, but Zobes is right behind him at 13. And then the next highest is Anarchist at 7 and myself at 5. Tied with Tybe at 5 as well. If anyone's keeping track. And me, asks Warp. You are at 5 as well. Okay, throw three-way tie. With 5 open pull requests for 4th place.
Aside from the gig now and the content with them, most of my pull requests came back when we were doing a major like artwork update on all the ships and outfits and stuff, and that's where a bunch of mine came from. There's not much of a like request for that at the moment though, so that's why mine are a little bit lower. But I like looking at all the artwork stuff. Re-render everything in 4K. Yeah, let's make the game 4 times as big.
Yeah, 4x assets.
Higher DPI.
Higher DPI. I remember there was some guy who had like a 4K monitor. He was like, the game is too small. I'm like, bro, install high DPI and then increase the UI zoom factor. Which I forget. No, we didn't do this, did we? I think the zoom factor, the main zoom factor, is capped at 200%. I wonder if we should uncap that.
No. I don't like
You shouldn't.
how much you
It's
consume.
already. So there's two caps though. There's a hard cap at 200%. Then there's a second cap that says if the screen becomes too small, then don't allow you to go any higher. So for example, I don't think my screen, or actually no, on my old laptop could not increase the main zoom factor higher than like 130%. Because if it went any higher, the game would calculate like, oh, this is trying to make the screen too small. I'm just going to drop back to 100% instead of going even higher. So given the fact that we already have that failsafe in place to prevent people from making their zoom too high, I feel like we should just remove the 200% hard cap. Because if your screen can't fit anything higher than 200% anyway, the game's not going to allow it. You should uncap the frame rate too. I don't want it to wait 16 milliseconds just for the next frame to display. Since we still need to add camera panning, given the fact that I decoupled the camera class from, or made a camera that make camera its own class, you could probably add something like that now. Going past 200 means high DPI is being drawn at lower than standard DPI. Well, that's the cost then.
War Thunder. Yeah, you're not buying ships in the sky only for them to cost 5 times as much as you purchase them for to run.
Alright, well, where are we at now? We're approaching an hour and a half. How long do we usually do these for? You know, like
Hour
an
and a
hour,
half to 2
hour and a
hours.
half.
So
Yeah.
since we're coming up on 30 minutes, I'd say we can start doing
This
the
long says
last
warp.
minute.
Yeah, warp is done
Yeah,
half an
warp's
hour
out.
ago.
Oh, he's gone. But yeah, I'd say we could start with the next 8 minutes being like kind of rapid fire questions. As one of our core members shows that he's 3,316 commits behind the last time he played the game.
Actor says campfire chats typically last exactly 1 hour and 28 minutes. All right, we have 45 seconds. Rapid fire. Go, go, go. Ask your final questions.
Preferably related to the game.
Realism? That's not a question. Realism question mark? No. Azure also asks realism question mark. Already answered. Fakeism, says Lord Nicholas in parentheses locked in.
Nothing in our game is fake. The Korg are real.
So true, King. Why no ES with realistic walking around spaceport? That'd be so funny. Like the main game is just like how it is now, and then you land and click on the spaceport, and suddenly it's like Star Citizen.
I was thinking of like those really old games where it's like the click around for like going around like a spaceport or something like that.
Oh, like the
like Myst
what
or
do they call?
something.
Yeah, yeah. What do they call those? They're like the find an item game. Click to find. I don't know.
Point and click adventures.
Yeah.
I think it's that. Yeah. Just you click around the spaceport. That'd be cool.
Endless.
Definitely not.
Oh, we're over time. Goodbye. No. We're remaking Undertale with this one.
Several people are typing, but I see no questions.
If the Quarg are real, why no Quarg dev? You sure?
He might even be here with us right now. On his alt account.
Has anyone seen devs blinking? Any tooling for working on the game you'd like to see? For example, a graph of mission chains. I just keep it all in my head. So, nothing in mind for me.
AI, some kind of algorithm? No. We made it pretty clear we don't want to have AI in the project.
Also, the game is
Every,
intended to be a curated experience, not something that's randomly generated
yeah.
each playthrough.
I mean, people might be like adding stuff from it, like plugins or something, but as for like the official game, no.
Each copy of
Each
VS
copy
is
of the-
personalized.
Yeah. We change one single character in the entire code base every time someone downloads it. That's why we get bugs.
If you find yours, you win $1 million.
Oh. It's like me when I posted the announcement for the release, and I said if someone finds a spelling error in it, because I always manage to do that, they get a cookie.
Is being able to capture thousands of ships from the people of House an intended feature? There's no repercussion for taking their ships, and it's easy to do so. It sure says the consequences that you're a bad person now.
I'd imagine that in the future there'll probably be something in Successor Story that checks for certain conditions. Like if you're that much in the hole with the government, then you're probably not going to be able to do their content.
Warp says there might be trillions of quark, but imagine how many bacteria there are on and in each of one. So timeout response, I actually doubt the numbers. They're probably largely hollow quark, like those pug on Deneb. Be careful with questioning numbers. It can get you in some big trouble.
Or the pug real.
And why don't anyone tell me I'm a terrible person to kill thousands of Korath? Some do. Is anyone working on allowing camera pan while paused yet? No. But, like I mentioned earlier, I think it wouldn't actually be that difficult.
Is it something we would want to add to the game though?
I mean, it's been
We
requested a lot.
could.
We very easily could. I actually think it would not be that difficult. If the game is paused, it would just be like a loop. If the game is paused, then allow the WASD keys to control the camera movement instead of snapping to the location of your ship. Or using the location of your ship is where the camera is. Although, maybe not that simple, because then we would need that function in the engine to have access to the currently pressed keys. There's probably some way to do it that wouldn't be too difficult, but actually, no joke, I think it'd be very simple. Ever since I made a separate camera class, and that makes things easier. WASD, you got a WASD key map? I set mine to WASD. I guess technically use whatever arrow keys you use for movement of your flagship, whatever those are set to. But yeah, I use WASD for my keys.
I'm not saying nowhere that we wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna be a little bit of the anti-fun guy and say, do we really want to be trying to add as many features as possible to work around fleet management when that's not what the game is about? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, we do also have some other like fleet UI things, like the missile UI, the ship health UI, and stuff like that. That's in the game. What I would just want to avoid is a case where we're adding enough fleet stuff to the game to where people are going to start wanting like stuff specifically for the game to play, like Star Sector or something like that, and that's probably what I want to avoid.
Yeah.
Like having the functionality is probably like that's not a problem. I'm just saying like we're not going to explicitly. At least I don't think we would make it so you could just play Endless Sky as if it was Star Sector.
Yeah, no. Azure says I was thinking I lost the message. Where was it? I was thinking click and drag, so you could allow that for normal gameplay. Click and drag already creates that selection box to select your escorts.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how we could have click and drag for that, and also click and drag for changing where the camera is located.
I would
Control click drag, something like that. That might be funky. Use the other mouse button, right click and drag. You can already right click though to send commands to your escorts. Use a third mouse button. How about that?
Reminds me of a game I play. I play Sins of a Solar Empire for that. That's a fleet game. You do hold down right click and drag to move the camera, so that'd be neat, I guess.
Scroll wheel zooms in and out, but if you hold shift, it zooms left and right. And if you hold control, it's up and down. Yeah, Ebs just said the same thing, shift plus mouse. Or no, not, I guess with the scroll wheel is what I meant. People play in the sky with a mouse. Your mouse has 2 scroll wheels? What in the world? Is one like slow and the other fast?
Yes, people have fighter jets as mice these days. I don't know.
Yeah. Sky has like a whole like fighter jet cockpit,
Yeah,
and that's how he controls his computer.
I have a HOTAS and joystick. Yeah, start flying. Now we're talking realism.
Stuffy Evil says the problem with making Endless Sky like Star Sector is that Star Sector exists and has full-time paid devs. Are you saying we don't exist?
I guess, yeah.
None of us are real, yeah. We're just malware.
Unless guy's malware. Some people thought that. I've never seen a review of people thinking that we have like crypto in the game. That's why it's so much space or uses so much memory. It's like,
No, it's just
are
poorly
you sure
optimized.
you don't have that on your computer?
Yeah.
Why is it flagged? Oh yeah, it did flag like what was that, a couple of updates ago?
Yeah, we've had a few times in the game's history where for some reason we get flagged as malware by some random antivirus.
Is yours the reason?
All right, well,
Yep, we're
I
2
think we
minutes
should
over.
probably
Can't
wrap
believe
up
it.
here.
Yeah.
Hector says, "Why make Endless Sky into a crappy version of Star Sector when it is just Endless Sky, or when it can just be Endless
Exactly.
Sky?" Yeah, yeah. There was somebody who opened an issue where they were like, "I'll make the combat like Star Sector," and it's like, why don't you just play a Star Sector?
It's funny. I've seen a fair amount of players who are actually from the EV games like that our game is a bit more nuanced than what EV was, but don't want it to be any more complicated than it already is.
There is literally a video on
Or
YouTube that
different.
gives you a CD key for free for Star
Really?
Sector. Yeah, Seth. I don't know ever how to pronounce his full name.
I have it somewhere on my computer or another hard drive. Remember, I got it a while ago.
Hector says
Figure
Derpy
out
is a
how
member of the Merchants Guild. That's right.
to...
Where is it? I just remember he did a review on Star Sector, and at the end of the review, he literally shows his CD key and says, "Here is a CD key for the game."
Oh,
Okay, 6 years ago, yeah, and that's how I got the game. Dev's got a link to that video on their website. LOL. Yeah. Damascus says, "Pretty sure that would require recoding the entire combat system to make it like Star Sector." Yeah, that too. It's like, why would we do that to just become Star Sector? And 2, that would be a massive undertaking.
We're inspired by EV. We're not explicitly Star Sector. We're more like EV, but we're our own kind of
Also,
game,
I
kind of
didn't
in
even know
between
about Star
stuff.
Sector for the longest time too. It's like, I think I've seen reviews on Steam where they're like, "Oh, this is just a worse version of Star Sector." It's like, what in the world is Star Sector?
It's because some people, I think it's because we are based on that older genre. Some people think our game's kind of an in between, and it could be like more like that game or a different game when it is kind of its own already type of game. So prefer ESIS to Star Sector. I'm gonna go download that again. I played it like a little bit a long time ago. Yeah, I paid for Star Sector too.
I only played it once. Wow,
Played it
sounds
for
like
like
a
a
waste of
couple
money to
days.
me. I played the game once and didn't waste my money. What is this? Delta V, Rings of Saturn, Asteroid Opera. Tired of hard
Yeah,
science fiction or science boiling your space opera? What? Delta V has always been about hard science, accurate physics, and the brutal beauty of Saturn's rings. Okay. What's your favorite ship aesthetically? I'm a big
Mm,
Tempest fan.
I feel like everyone's going to say that, like Kestrel or Tempest-looking ships. Just the rocket ship with forward slipped wing look is so popular in sci-fi. Um,
Why are we nerfing the thorax? I broke the thorax cannon because it broke me.
that's his, their own pull request.
Commented now. Opened now. That's
Oh wait, did
that's
that really
literally the
open now?
timestamp
Hold
on it.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Can't believe we're nerfing the thorax before they even got content.
This brings it more in line with other large weapons like the slicer. Are you sure it's the slicer? The slicer is a laser.
I want to answer the ship question. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out.
Warp
My
says, I've
favorite
got a
ship
load
is.
of games on Steam that are supposedly somewhat similar to EV and ES and Knave, which I've never played. Those are probably a bigger waste of money than Star Sector. Yeah, I have a few games I've bought and haven't played. We said we were going to wrap up like 20 minutes ago.
We're just kind of chilling.
Yeah,
Having,
this is the chill moment.
yeah,
This happens every dev talk, every time
yeah.
the devs get together, it always veers off into so you see the latest Star Wars show?
Yeah, this guy starts rambling off about his Pokemon teams again.
Pokemon, yeah. Why do shield gen only affect regen rate and not the shield health? That is a aspect of the lore of the game. There's a As for the mechanical reason, I mean, we could make it so that shield generators increase your shield capacity, and I think there have been plugins that do that. But balance-wise, MG just liked it better this way. Part of the idea there is that when you purchase a ship, the ship's shields, hull, so overall HP, the number of weapons it has, the number of bays it has, the weapon capacity, the engine capacity, these things are supposed to be immutable aspects that are kind of like the signature of that ship. We don't want it to be the case that you can increase your shields, increase your hull, increase your weapon capacity, add more weapon points, add more bays, because then you could basically turn any ship into any other ship. So the idea is that each ship is kind of its own distinct identity. And if you like a ship, you like it for its identity, not because you can turn it into something else. Hector says the number of weapons it has. Yet I can double the number of weapons on my ship by swapping from laser turrets to quad blaster turrets. Curious. And Stuffy Evil says, I mean, ships in this game already have a surprising amount of customization with the outfit system. That as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is already so much customization you can do that it's in a sweet spot, you know? There's a lot you can do, but it's not so much that it completely invalidates the point of upgrading your ship, you know? There's still a reason to upgrade.
It's the same logic with I know people occasionally request having bays as outfits or even hard points being able to be taken off or added on ships. And when you start doing that, it really starts making ships less unique because then you can make any interceptor have a lot of guns that, or I guess a better example would be you can make any large ship have as many guns or more as an interceptor, or you could stick bays on a non-carrier ship, and now that non-carrier ship might have better stats and just be a better carrier overall, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm pretty sure it was like an intentional design point by MZ to have things more locked to the ship themselves.
Yeah. As for the... Let me pull it up. in the player's manual, Damascus says, okay, I get that for everything else, but shields feel like it should be tied to the generator rather than the ship. So, like, there's no reason to use human ships if you can unlock alien ships, even if you're willing to go with the weaker hulls, if you had an option to go max on shields. I mean, even then, you're still you would still be handicapping yourself because you're spending so much outfit space just to get the shields up. Whereas you could just upgrade to the bigger, the higher tier ship, already have the increased shields, and then also have all this extra space left over to do other stuff. But reading from the player's manual here, where is it? Actually, I linked the wrong spot. It's let's update the link there. Hull and shields. Although most pilots today think of energy shields as purely for protection in combat, they were originally designed as a defense against cosmic radiation. Later, they were strengthened enough to deflect microasteroids and other space debris. These early shield generators created a physical ring around the ship, generally at some distance away from the hull, because a powerful enough impact could distort the field and bend it inward. That was back in the early days of interstellar travel. Today's integrated shield matrices are an order of magnitude more powerful and effective, in part because they are custom fitted to the shape of a ship rather than extending far outside it. But because the emitters that maintain the shield matrix are integrated into the hull, you cannot increase the strength by swapping in a different generator. The only way to significantly boost your shield strength is to buy a stronger ship. Instead, modern shield generators serve only to recharge the matrix, which is still a very useful function, especially if you are able to gain a brief respite from combat. Some shield generators, in fact, are so powerful that they can keep shields at full strength even when under constant fire from an energy blaster. Not that that's really useful. Recharging shields takes energy, but typically much less energy than your other systems draw. So that's the lore of it. And Doom says, and yes, lore-wise, shield projectors are part of the hull and are characterized by as tiny things that have loads of dots around, all inside the outer layer of hull plating. Yeah. Loads of dotted around all. Yeah. So the shield projector and the shield it's more like a shield regenerator. They're different things.
I get people asking me that every now and then because Gigano ships don't have shields. I just tell them, well, either their armor's made out of certain material that can censor the radiation, or they probably do have like really like primitive or like early shields that only just do that, but they don't block like damage.
Lord Nicholas says they made an entire manual to go actually at some point.
All done to steal it to an auction.
We don't have a lore reason for that. We just said no.
Yeah.
And also, Hector points out you can have your ships have shields even when you don't have a shield generator installed, which heavily supports the lore behind it. Gets nerd emoji. They're still going up. All right, well, yeah, let's end it there.
Yeah.
Super says, to be fair, anyone who develops Endless Sky is a nerd, so true. Which is a bunch of nerds here. But I will now sign us off. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Campfire chat this month. As a reminder for anyone who's new and who has stuck around this long, we do this the first Saturday of every month. We have a submission box where you can submit questions, which I will now double check. Okay, yes, good, nobody added anything. And don't add any questions now because we're not going to answer them until next month. So you can add questions to the submission box if you aren't going to be here when these are live. I see you. I see you just did that. I stream these on Twitch at the same time that we're doing them here on Discord, so that people who aren't here can see them after the fact. And Hector also re-uploads them to a YouTube channel we have for more permanent storage, since Twitch only likes you keeping replays for a week or some stupidly short amount of time. Trying to think of anything else to mention. I think that's basically it. Next stream then will be on November 1st. November 1st. And we will have a stable update on October 25th. So we'll probably be talking about the stable update and any plans that we have for the next unstable update, which will be January of next year. Damascus says Republic campaign tomorrow. You heard it here first, folks. Republic campaign tomorrow. Trust. Hope everybody has a good rest of your day, and hope to see you next time. Adios.
See you.